Bacteria prevention in Arrowhead Hospital.
Called plasmids. These genes make code for efflux pumps to eject drugs from the cell, or the genes may give rise to enzymes to
I looked up bacteria in hospitals and saw that bacteria in hospitals is very deadly and kills 1 out of 20 patients. I also saw that there's a machine that has ultraviolet lights and that it's supposed to kill all the bacteria in rooms in hospitals, but sometimes that's not the case.
As a nurse, we all go through classes in nursing school that educate us on bacteria, different types of bacteria and viruses. We clean in between every single patient. So every time a patient leaves the room, we clean the whole room. Well, bacteria is everywhere. It's really hard to prevent from being in contact with people. But we try to prevent the really bad bacteria that can hurt you from getting to you by cleaning our rooms between every single patient. They are cleaned with special cleaners depending on what's wrong with the patient. And sometimes they require bleach, other times it's just called germicidal wipes. Germicide means bug killing. Wipes that'll kill everything. Sometimes it doesn't show right away. That's the problem with bacteria, that's why it's bad. If somebody gets in contact with it, it doesn't usually become apparent to us until they have an infection. It's usually anywhere from 48 hours to 10 days later, depending on the bacteria that they came in contact with. Usually they'll get a fever. If it's a specific place where they got in contact with it, sometimes it can become inflamed. There can be drainage, like pus and other nasty things that can come out of it. Smell is always a really good indicator too. At that point, if you're in the hospital and that happens to you, we generally will give you an IV type of antibiotics. There are certain bacteria bugs that are really, really super strong, and we have super, super strong IV antibiotics. But as bacteria become exposed to those antibiotics, they actually build up resistance to those antibiotics. So we are constantly having to change our antibiotic regimen to make sure that we can stay on top of it and kill the new bugs.
Okay, that's
probably depend on like the instruments that we need to get done, you know. But most of the time we put it through like a cart washer sort of, and it just goes through a pre-wash and a rinse, and then it goes into like a real sonic, comes back off, and then rinse, and then a dry cycle. But we use this stuff we use for different stuff back there, and most of it is, we have the, here we go, let me see, the probably depend on like the instruments that we need to get done, you know. But most of the time we put it through like a cart washer sort of, and it just goes through a pre-wash and a rinse, and then it goes into like a real sonic, comes back off, and then rinse, and then a dry cycle. But we use this stuff that's called, let me get the name for you out here so I can spell it to you, and you can have that on there. Hold on, I'm coming in my office now. Okay. There's a lot of chemicals that we use for different stuff back there, and most of it is, we have the, here we go, let me see, the Prolistica. It's an enzymatic cleaner, and what that does is breaks down the blood and, you know, any kind of germs on it so that we can wash it really good, and then it goes through our washer. And our washer has the Prolistica in it as well. Once it comes back out through our clean side, we get the instruments together, and then we put it in a little tray, and it goes through a steam cycle. That's for our any kind of metal, our stainless steel instruments that most of 90% of the time that's what the OR uses is stainless steel instruments. And it goes through a steam cycle, which is 270 degrees. And it's in there, and it gets sterilized, and it gets for about 45 minutes. So it gets exposed through the steam sterilizer for about four minutes of sterilization.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go through a process of a dry time. And then after that, when it's all done, we send it upstairs. It has to cool for a while, and then once it's all cooled, we send it upstairs. I mean, that's the reason we... The biological lets us know if within 3 hours if it's positive or negative. If it's positive, then something went wrong, and we have to hold the load or recall the whole load, and we wrap it and redo it again and maybe put that sterilizer out of service. That biological basically tells us is that the steam didn't penetrate and didn't kill whatever it's supposed to kill, all that germs.
No, I think that hospitals are not clean because that is where the sick people are and many diseases are around there.